Drunk Souls made a video how to actually have a consistent fun in Elden Ring PVP, something that I truly struggle with. So let's hear what Drunk Souls has to say.
Hey my dudes.
Yo.
I'm sure we've all noticed this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Elden Ring PvP is not doing so good, okay?
No,
All of
it's
the
not.
issues with this game and the lack of care from Software has finally alienated invaders enough to make some of us start quitting. Some invaders have started giving up. And we all kind of knew we were going to reach this point. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a sad fact that needs to be addressed. Don't misunderstand me though, it's not the end of Elden Ring PvP. It seems like the vast majority of invaders are still getting a lot of enjoyment out of the game. Myself,
What you think about that? It's really mixed bag. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's fucking god awful. In vast majority of cases, it's just lack of possibility to go anywhere else because Elden Ring is the only active Souls game that has consistent invasions and there is no competition whatsoever.
included, but the trend of invaders giving up is very troubling, especially considering Shadow of the Erdtree was only 3 months ago. Now
No, this is actually, I think this is actually normal. It's just people came back for the DLC, they beat the DLC. Vast majority of people just checked out the game, bounced off, and now we are back to the state of the game that we had before the DLC, pretty much. Of course, it could be way better, but as we all know, this is actually hella low for Elden Ring, that is. We are almost on the lowest moment of the game, the lowest that Elden Ring ever was when it comes to its consistent picks. It was 35,000. And the game was in god fucking awful state back then. It was, I don't exactly remember when, but there was like a moment like that. Average player count, at least on Steam, is relatively low, but it was only to be expected because you don't have that good transition to the PvP from the PvE. It's just the design of the multiplayer parts of Elden Ring is just not really good.
issues alienating invaders are pretty numerous, honestly, but I'll list some of the biggest ones, at least in my opinion. No covenants, no rewards for PvP, 4-player limit, really sucks.
This is pretty much what I'm talking about here, yeah? There is essentially no incentive for new players to jump into the PvP.
There are constant, unrelenting fog walls. Some days it's 80% of invasions are instant fog walls. All the balance in the world doesn't mean shit if we don't get to play, and a lot of the times on nights like those we're not getting to play because we're just getting fog walled all the time. But the biggest issue in my mind is the constant, unrelenting anime spam. A lot of invasions, especially at high level, just devolve into dudes throwing shit at each other for 10 or 15 minutes until someone gets bored and decides to rush, which is just not very fun. Sometimes this does not even feel like a Souls game. It's like an open field anime game, and I don't like that. It's literally giving me brain damage, okay? It is. There's a lot of other issues I could have just listed, but I don't really think it's necessary. I've already made it sound like really bad, and in reality, it's only miserable sometimes. I'd say about half the time, Elden Ring PvP is absolutely miserable, and the other half, it's amazing. There are a lot of good, fun invasions to be had out there, but
it's actually fundamentally very good game. Implementations of the crouch attacks, jump attacks give completely new depth to the game. Fundamentally, Elden Ring could be absolutely fantastic in the PvP. There is not even doubt about that. It's just there are like other design decisions, mostly related to Ashes of War, that kind of make everything stupid. Elden Ring has one particular issue that is very common, and it is ultimately very low amount of the recoveries. This is actually something that also happens to plenty of setups. Like, for example, thrusting swords have absurdly low amount of the recoveries, and then you have ashes that literally cut down the recoveries even more, like Bloodhound Step or Quick Step, yeah? This is just stupid design.
There's almost no middle ground. It's either really good or really bad, and I think that's the biggest issue with Elden Ring PvP. But what if I told you you could avoid most of the bad shit that I've mentioned, and even some bad shit that I didn't mention in this game? You heard that right. I'm not bullshitting.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
tell me.
negate most of the cancerous
Tell me.
aspects of Elden Ring
If you're gonna tell me fucking low-level invasions, I am going to puke.
PvP. The answer to the problems is actually very, very simple, but you have to hear me out, because this is how you have actual, genuine, consistent fun with Elden Ring PvP.
Oh, he's teasing me. Come on, tell me.
Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Play at mid-level.
Fuck you! You fucking bitch! What the fuck you are even talking about? I am not going to fucking twink on some fucking scraps that are completely clueless. What are you even talking about? These people that you are, for example, fighting right here, they have fucking no idea what the fuck they are going on. We need the artificial fucking increase of the difficulty for invaders. Otherwise, this fucking fight's gonna be garbage. It's gonna be fucking stupid slop. Okay, maybe you're gonna convince me further.
Well, specifically level 40. Level 40.
Kurwa mać, dude, at level 40 it is just twinkling at this point. Holy fuck.
Is the best. It is what Elden Ring PvP was meant to be. But you can get most of the benefits of level 40 at level 60 and even up to level 80. But level 40 is still the best. Now I know what you're thinking. This guy's full of shit. There's no way it's that simple. There's no way it's that easy. Well, actually, yes it is. It is that easy.
So here is a problem though. You still have password freaking summons. It's not like these guys are going to have literally no mana in order to spam your shit. On the level 40, you're still gonna be spammed into the oblivion. People still gonna be using, like, you even limit yourself to not being able to wear certain stuff that would give you, like, for example, like a decent resistances, which means status effects are even more deadly. Shittery on the lower level, when you get the host that is just simply, you know, like focused on survival, and two over-leveled phantoms that are going to play with, let's say, like just a powerful setups, are even more deadly. I absolutely don't see how is that better than playing on the meta level.
The invaders that have figured this out are much happier than those who have not, and I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to convert you to the church of mid-level in Elden Ring, so you don't quit the game, so you're no longer frustrated, so you can actually have fun. I'm gonna go over all of the benefits of mid-level PvP, level 40 specifically, but I'm also gonna go into the very slight negatives, because there is some downsides to it, but they're so vastly outweighed by the positives. Level 40 and mid-level as a whole cannot fix the systemic issues with PvP, such as the 4-player limit and the no covenants, you know, but the gameplay at mid-level is so good, it kind of makes you forget about all that missed potential. It's actually, like, that good.
Okay, please, to the point.
Let me explain why.
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna get the most important part out of the way. The spam issue at level 40 and mid-level as a whole is almost absent. You see, if you invade at level 125 or 168 or 200 or whatever other cancer level bracket you decide to invade, you're probably gonna invade 2 or 3 dudes that are all gonna just throw shit at you for a very extended period of time. They're gonna keep...
But how is that different here? Like, wouldn't that be the same? When max level being downscaled to the meta level, they are still having like absurd amount of mana. Like, would that mean like when they get in downscaled to level 40, they have practically no mana? It's hard to believe.
Keep stalling and throwing shit at you instead of playing the game. And that's gonna force you to be passive and throw shit back at them. It's a spamathon most of the time at those level brackets, and that's not very fucking fun. Okay, like I said earlier, at level 40, people do not have the blue to be doing that shit. People have to actually play the game. Look at what you've been seeing in this YouTube video. This has all been random level 40 invasions.
I mean, like, what I'm seeing here is people that just, organically going through the game. You can have this type of invasions on the meta level too.
I'm playing the game, the host is playing the game, the Phantom is playing the game. It is so nice to press R1 and R2 instead of fucking standing there throwing shit. Just like the good old days, we are pressing R1 and R2 instead of L2 and whatever magic they want to use. It's great, honestly. Now, you still will run into those overleveled Phantoms here and there. They can spam at you, but dealing with them is so much easier and nicer than dealing with 3 guys that are consistently gonna spam at you.
Okay, so his idea is that there is basically going to be only 2 guys that can spam at you instead of 3. I don't understand how you might have like a more fun here, considering the fact that you straight up have less options yourself because you are at level 40.
Almost every single invasion. You're going to get a lot of great invasions that are mostly melee at level 40, and that's one of the biggest reasons why it is God tier. This next point is potentially just as important as the last, but at level 40, the fog wall issue is almost non-existent, and that is kind of true even up to level 80, although it gets worse and worse the higher level you go. I don't know why that is. It seems like From Software just got shittier and shittier with the design the later in the game you go.
Too many bad bonfires next to fog walls, I mean, okay.
I don't know why it's like this. I'd say on my worst day at level 40, I get fog walled maybe 10% of the time. And that's on the worst day. Let's contrast that with level 125 and above, where you're literally some days gonna get fog walled 80% of the time. And when it's not an instant fog wall, you're gonna have a shitty fight in front of the fog wall where the host can just decide, oh, I don't want to lose, I'm just gonna go through the fog door.
I really want to disagree here. It's kind of RNG based, but I recently had like a constant fog walls on 150, so it also depends how you are going to prepare your PvP character, because of course you can just avoid certain bonfires, and that's what I, for example, am doing. But even despite that, yeah, like fog walling on the meta level is very, very common. And before the DLC, I remember I sometimes was playing at level like 80 or 90, and it was true that I was invading people that were able to fog wall way less. And it's because vast majority of my invasions were actually in the open world, if I recall correctly. Looking at this footage of he's, for example, not invading DLC at all, yeah? Or, I don't know, like, I don't recall. But actually, he's invading dungeons. That being said, yeah, well, you kind of limiting yourself, like, ability to invade DLC locations, but honestly, they kind of suck for PvP very often. Honestly, maybe I really supposed to try low level then.
Really sucks. You don't really get to play at high level, and like I said, nothing matters if you don't get to play because you're getting fog walled. The solution to this is to play at mid-level, where it's almost non-existent. The issue is almost not there. Okay, it's really, really nice to get to play consistently. Here's a massive plus for me in regards to mid-level PvP, but the vast majority of invasions at level 40, level 60, level 80 are organic, and it's really, really nice.
Yeah, organic invasions are nice, but so are the tryhard invasions. I mean, like, both of them have their own charm, and just like there is a difference between someone fucking attempting to grief you and someone just hosting, yeah?
What is an organic invasion, you may ask? There's a lot of misconceptions about that. An organic invasion is against players that are actually trying to play through the level. They're actually trying to progress the game and beat the boss. They're trying to accomplish something. That is the original intended vision of invasions.
That's true, it is intended vision, yeah.
Is what we're meant to be fighting when we invade. It is a lot nicer to be dealing with that rather than the alternatives that you usually deal with at high level. But what are these dreaded alternatives to organic invasions? Well, one type is gankers. In high-level PvP, you're going to be dealing with a shitload of gankers. What they are is, generally speaking, pretty untalented, probably insecure players that know they're not going to do too well in real PvP like invasions or duels. So what they do is they set up kind of an unlosable situation. They get 2 or 3 guys, probably some of them over-leveled, and they stand in one place, probably a special place with no PvE, and they wait for invaders to cheese with 3 versus 1 tactics. That's pretty much what they do. They have no intention of actually progressing or beating the boss, and that's what makes these invasions not organic. Fighting these all the time really sucks, especially considering they commonly utilize things like spam and fog wall abuse to make sure that they don't lose. Yeah, these are not super common at level 40 and level 60 and level 80, although they're so few that they're actually kind of fun to beat. It's kind of fun to embarrass them, even though they've set up these unlosable situations. You know, you can still beat them.
What he is mentioning here, of course, like you can gank, yeah? Ganking is essentially one thing, yeah? But it all depends if the host is just like keeping the tongue on or off, honestly. Because if you are going to manage to kill like a 1 player, you're gonna get the help. At least you are not getting griefed too much. Like there is actually, like there is a spectrum to ganking. You can be just a fucking disgusting shitty griefer, or you can just be ganking, yeah? You can be ganking because, for example, you like to play with your friends. And this is what some people fucking do. Some people legitimately, genuinely just do not really like, they don't owe you that, you know, you're supposed to have like a super fair situation. Some people just, you know, want to jump into one world and beat other gamers together, yeah? And just the question is if they are going to be assholes about it or not. Like the biggest problem is when like this type of people are actually assholes about it. Like you have very often situations where people just chilling together and playing constant 2v2s, yeah? Just this is like a 2v2 scenario where they are still like a ganking, but that tongue is always open, yeah? What can I say? I have feeling like what he mentions here, that like, you know, like these terrible gankers and so on, I don't think that on meta level you have that many of them. Generally speaking, vast majority of my invasions are organic invasions. Actually, I was fucking complaining a lot in the past about PlayStation, which is also the platform that Drunk Souls is on, has way too many organic invasions on the meta level, and I barely fucking fight people that are PvP ready, because I like organic invasions, but I also like non-organic invasions. And I want to have both, and both are cool. So honestly, it's just pure RNG. Of course, like when you're streaming and Drunk Souls is streaming, I am streaming, there's a chance some asshole's gonna try to ruin your day. It's completely fucking normal. They're gonna try to grief you and so on, yeah? But honestly, either make content out of them if you're a content creator, or just fucking block the shit out of them, because these guys are just, you know, they are shit anyway. They are not really worth your time unless you just want to test yourself.
Really nice, but at high level, there's so many of them, you get sick of it really fast. Another alternative that you're commonly going to be dealing with at high level is what we call bonfire duelists. I like to call them fake duelists. Now, there's a lot of reasons that invaders don't like dealing with these players, and the biggest reason is we are already bored of dueling. We've already moved past fighting one person. It's just not fun for us anymore. That's why we're invading. You know what I'm saying? We want to fight cooperators that are trying to progress, because that's more fun and chaotic. But another reason is that these bonfire duelists are usually not honest. They're usually using a rune arc, or calling blues, or using their double amount of heals to cheese the fight. You're going to notice that a common theme with gankers and bonfire duelists is that they're not very good at PvP, and they're trying to tip the scales.
He is continuously talking about like a pure griefers, honestly.
In any way they can. These people just are not very fun to deal with. Thankfully, they're not very common at level 40 or level 60 or level 80, but they are very common at high level. This is a great reason to try out level 40s, just to be away from these type of players in this game.
If that's true, then that's cool, honestly. Sadly, I personally won't be able to implement that, because if someone wants to piss me off, he's just coming to the live stream, he looks what level I am playing on, and just gonna try to snipe me at that level. It's just going to happen. Like, there is plenty of gankers when I, for example, had like a challenge run where I tried to get to the max level through the runes obtained only on the PvP. And there were just gankers that came from the meta level to the max level after me. I mean, like, for people that do not stream, that's actually, I guess that's cool if that's true, of course.
Now, those were all the biggest reasons why level 40 and mid-level as a whole are god tier. I feel like those are reason enough to try it out. But there are some minor bonuses I do want to mention. For one, the damage is strangely not bad shit. It's actually like really chill. You can actually afford to make mistakes at level 40. Contrasting that with high level where you can lose in like 2 or 3 hits, it's so much nicer. But you also have to consider that there will be overleveled phantoms here and there, and they do unreasonable damage, but it's not nearly as bad as having like everybody do unreasonable damage like they do at high level, you know? And the other minor reason that level 40 is god tier is that it's super active. At all hours of the day, the longest you're gonna wait for an invasion is maybe 30 seconds to a minute. It's so nice to actually get to play, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the lower with the level, the more active the game going to be. That's true.
Now we need to talk about some of the common criticisms of mid-level and level 40 specifically. I'm going to start with this one. A lot of invaders claim, oh, you're just fighting new players at level 40. Now let me just debunk this right now. There's not a lot of new players left. This game has been out for 3 years. Okay, now maybe when it first released...
I mean, it doesn't matter. You're fucking playing. It doesn't matter if someone is new or not. Like, you're gonna be playing like rather unprepared players on under bracket, even on the max level. Like on the max level, you have a funny situation where people actually technically are super experienced, but they are not really prepared for the PvP because they just overcame practically any bullshit that was thrown their way with just insane amount of damage, and because of that they have like fucking builds that can be easily fucking cheesed, especially in the 1v1, because of, I don't know, like for example, you can just like poison them, rot them, because they don't have like a setups for like that would give you additional resistances, or you can steep them because they don't have setups that would allow them to actually level up their focus levels to the point that, you know, like continuous sleep application is not the problem. So yeah, it's in invasions, I like to think about invasions as if you would be, for example, playing, let's call it a public lobby in game like Call of Duty, in game like Apex Legends, non-ranked public lobby where you can meet either a god or complete scrub, and the average player just won't be that good. Essentially, invasions are something that you can use in order to improve your individual mechanics or just have fun, yeah?
Released, there was some validity to this. You know, there was probably a lot of new players at level 40. But now, if you're fighting someone that seems like they're new, they're probably just really bad. Okay, the average skill level at pretty much all level brackets is about the same. The difference between level 40 and level 168 or 200 or 125 is that at those higher level brackets, people have lots of spam. So they don't really have to get in and play the game and show you how bad they are. At level 40, people do not have that spam, so they have to actually get in there and do melee and demonstrate their lack of skill, so you notice it a lot more. But in reality, they're all the same skill. It's just one has spam and the other actually has to play. You know what I'm saying? Next thing I want to talk about is overleveled phantoms. This criticism is real. There are occasional overleveled phantoms at level 40. They're fairly common and they are noticeable, especially at this level compared to higher level. Now, the thing about these is that there's not a whole lot of them, but there is some. That's way better than dealing with, you know, every single player having some ridiculous spam-centered anime build, okay? Now, the thing about overleveled phantoms is they are beatable and they're very satisfying to beat. You can just straight up make a build that is designed to deal with them. Like Tarnished Hunter here. The reason all of his weapons have lightning is because it's the best damage type against overleveled phantoms. That is also why he has Scarlet Rot and every single other status effect in the crossbow, because those help deal with overleveled phantoms.
Shit nuts.
You can easily make a build like this and overcome these occasional overleveled phantoms.
Why is not healing? What's going on?
It's satisfying, honestly. But the vast majority of players are probably going to be properly leveled, so it's just way better than high level where everything's fucking ridiculous,
okay.
You know.
What was actually the amount of the souls he got? 78,000.
to talk about is invaders saying that level 40 would restrict their build too much. Now there is a bit of truth to this, but not really at the same time. For example, Tarnished Hunter can use just about every good PvP weapon. Not all, but most. However, it is kind of difficult to make a good caster build at level 40.
Tarnished Hunter, as far as I understand, is a fucking name of this build of his, yeah? Okay.
That's why I would recommend, if you want to make something like that, going up to level 60 or even level 80, because you can get a lot of the benefits of level 40 while still having more stats, right? However, level 40 is still going to be better. There is, a happy medium you can reach. I want to address something else.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it like that. You are very restricted when it comes to your tools at level 40. It's just the fact. You can cope as much as you want about you can do this type of build, you can do this type of build, but if we are talking about builds, we're supposed to talk about strictly a meta, and the meta at the lower level is actually all about the lightning infusions and correct usage of these. It's just the variety of the builds is probably like way worse. So you can actually go like a Faith build, probably it's even better, yeah? You still need to actually go for like a 60 vigor, preferably. It's probably the most optimal thing that you can go for. Like if you are going with the Faith build, then you probably want to have Sacred Blade on literally everything. So everything else probably gonna be suboptimal. Like you cannot really just do like a proper caster build on the lower level. You cannot really do like anything that would be legitimately optimal. Yet again, yes, you can make a build, but it's gonna be dog shit. And you don't want to make dog shit builds. Like the game is not made in order to play or have like actually dedicated build at lower levels. It's the moment when you are creating the build. If you are making the build that is actually focused to stay on the low level, you are ending up with Abomination that is just utilizing certain points of the given moment in the supposed journey of your build, and it is going to be limited. As simple as that.
Using late game gear in the early and mid game, it's completely justified, and here's why. Overleveled phantoms.
Okay, so he's just justifying Twinkling.
Early and mid game. I want to address something else. Using late game gear in the early and mid game, it's completely justified, and here's why. Overleveled phantoms have everything, from mid-game to late game to Shadow the Erd Tree stuff, including overpowered stats. It's justified to use whatever you need to use to deal with them, so just do it. Don't limit yourself. I hope you try level 40 because I want you to have fun. My level 40 live streams will confirm all of this, by the way. I'm still going to enjoy 168 because there are still some good invasions there, but level 40 is king. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're cool, and dislike it if you dislike
it. Well, it was the video of all time. I would say that I'm just gonna give it a try. I have hard time believing certain things in this video. I also think that like invading on such a low level where you're just gonna give yourself like the fucking top gear might actually be not that interesting. I'm just going to give it a try and we're gonna see.